succeeding in business while winning at home so that you can stop existing and start living. My name is Jay Allen Hull, and we go live almost every weekday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, depending on if there's accidents, issues, or power outages. But I'm here today to talk to you about this concept that you get more success when you have more rest. And I really want you to pay attention because this is so important. I just had a conversation with someone and she was talking about a business partner. And the business partner was that she had for several years. He'd been an entrepreneur for 10 years and he never really achieved any great success. And as we were talking, she's been a client for a little bit. And as we were talking, she was talking about how prior to her working with me, he was a partner with her and he would show up at all hours of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. He'd tell you, you got to work, you got to work, you got to work 24/7. And that when inspiration strikes, you got to work and you've got to do that. And really what was going on was he was working her to death. And he was working himself to death. And she was tired. She didn't have time for her family. She felt obligated to things that were tearing. She was feeling torn between her family and her business, working with this partner. And she said he's never really achieved success, even though this is the way he's always worked for 10 years. And he kept saying, you got to grind, you got to grind, you got to grind until you get success. So one day it'll all pay off. And she thought there's got to be a better way. And then she heard me talking and we started working together. So as we were discussing this, she was really impressed with, as we've worked, my emphasis on her downtime, my emphasis on her spending time with her family, resting, rejuvenating, getting replenished, and how much more productive it really has made her and how much further her business has gone now that she's separated from this business partner, how much further her business has gone by really focusing on her rest. And what she recognized, she said that I realized I can't give 100% to my clients if I'm not giving 100% to my self-rejuvenation, if I'm not rejuvenating. And she said, I can't give 100% to my family if I'm not giving 100% to my self-rejuvenation. And so she's made that a point, and she works fewer hours and she makes more and she does more and she has more time and freedom for her family and more money in her pocket and all of those wonderful things. But I think the problem is we hear stories like Elon Musk that he worked 100 hours a week in his office and he slept in his office and he didn't leave and all of these things. But we also look at, he just had a biography come out and we look at things in the biography where his family life isn't that great, where he's lost touch with some of his children or at least connection with them, where some of them don't even want to carry his name any longer. We have issues where people that follow that path, they grind and they grind and they grind and they get addicted to the grinding and then they don't want to give it up even when they've achieved what they want to. Now, there's always a season of busyness. When we're preparing for a launch, when we're preparing for a new product, when we're doing some things like that. I mean, even when I coach for Dean at the Mastermind, Dean and Tony with their Mastermind company, sometimes I put in 12-hour days and that's not my normal, but it's a couple of days every, 3 or 4 months, 2 or 3 months, right? So it's not a constant grind. And there's always a season of busyness. There's always a time for that. But we need to make sure that the majority of our days are structured in a way that we are getting the rest we need so that we can give 100% to our family and 100% to our clients so that when we're at work, we're at work. When we're at home. And really, it's not, somebody once said to me, well, so that it's an 8-8-8, right? 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work, 8 hours of personal or family time. And that's not really how it works at all. In fact, studies have shown that we only get about 6 good hours of executive function of our brain power for knowledge workers. You and I, we're knowledge workers. If you're not working with your back, if you don't have a brick and mortar store, which that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking to people with brick and mortar stores. If you have a brick and mortar store and you're trying to follow me for productivity, you're probably finding that it's not working because that's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to knowledge workers, coaches, consultants, course creators, agency owners, social media marketers, things like that, digital marketers. We work with our brains. And when you work with your brain, you only get about 6 good hours out of it. After that, it needs something different. It needs to focus on something different. Not that your brain shuts down, but it needs active rest. So active rest is not sitting and watching Netflix. It's not binge watching or binging Facebook or Reels or things like that. It's active rest. It means that you engage your mind somewhere else outside of business. And the best place to do that is in your family, with your family. Engage with them, engage in their activities, engage in what they're doing. And your brain will replenish and it'll actually be more rejuvenated the next day than if you were to just go and binge watch Netflix or spend 8 hours on Facebook or playing a game. So let's try to structure your day from here on out. Since it's a new year, try to structure your day where your work gets done in about 6 hours. Now, I'll tell you this. You also need to follow your ultradian rhythms. And you guys have heard me talk about that. It's about 90 minutes of peak energy with about 20 minutes of downtime, and structure your day accordingly. But then really maximize your rejuvenation time. Maximize that time, that active rest with your family, doing something else, doing something that engages your brain. And again, not video games, not movies, not those things engage your brain, but not in a way that creates rest. It engages it in a way that creates stress and strain. It's not to say that a good movie, listen, last night we watched a great movie with my teenage daughter, my wife and I. We watched a great movie together. It's not that there's not place for that. It just shouldn't be the norm. That shouldn't be the default. You should find other ways to actually engage so that you can be present in the lives of those you love. So that when you're home, and when you're at work, you're at work. So that is my tip for you today. It's for you to get the twin win so that you can succeed in business while winning at home, so that you can stop existing and start living, start experiencing life to its fullest. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.